Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
Welcome back to the Daily Truth Report. On the screen is a returning guest and a real favorite of mine, Bo POLNY, back with us tonight. Bo, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Noah. God bless you, your family, and everything you're doing. So, and also congrats on your new website, just to make sure people find it.
Oh, thank you so much. And,
I was looking for it, and look at what happened to Noah. And
I got to say, that is one of my favorite compliments I've ever received when I got an email from you asking if everything was okay, because you had not seen an update for a while. So to know that you read the website and enjoy it, that made my day, Bo. So thank you. So yeah, for anybody that's looking, we are you can find us now at WLTreport.com. And I'll put an article down below, kind of the whole story behind that. We won't get into it right now, but yeah, thanks, Bo. I appreciate that. Well, hey, listen, we had to have you on because, wow, things are hopping right now. And we're going to have to hurry up and get this interview posted, because by the time it's over, Bitcoin might be over $30,000. It is moving really fast. It was down in the $28,000 range just this morning. And it must have known that we were getting ready to talk with you, because it is moving. And that always seems to happen when we have you on. There's always something breaking or some news event or Bitcoin doing something that it just always seems to happen at the right time. So we have you back on. We haven't had you on since last month, and our world is changing by the day. So I want to go ahead and get your slides up, and then we're going to try and move fast tonight, because you have, I just got a sneak peek of your slides. You have so much in there, and we are going to have to move really fast to hit it all, but it is going to be so worth it. So let me get your slide up here, and I'm going to take people really quick to slide 2 so they can scan that QR code with their phone. Just get your camera app out, scan that QR code. It's going to give you Bo's full slide presentation. He's got a lot of new stuff in here from the last time we talked. If you, I'll just put the link down below the video too, like we always do. You can click that and grab the slides. You all know how to do that. Everyone has done that before. So, Bo, I'm going to turn it over to you, because we have breaking news with Trump. We have breaking news with Biden. We have breaking news on the world front with WW3 seeming to break out, and then we have gold, silver, and cryptocurrency kind of going bonkers today. So I'm going to let you steer us through the presentation. There's so much to do. We'll move quickly. Grab the slides and watch them on your own time after this interview is over. But take it away, Bo.
we're going to go through a good amount of information. Make sure the viewers download this PDF presentation, study it afterwards, listen to our words as we speak, follow through in the presentation. But yes, there's a lot going on right now. A couple of massive, big bullet points. In our past couple, 2-3 interviews, we've said that as we go into the end of April and into May, do expect military conflict to erupt, and it's going to get uglier and scarier as we head into the end of April. Don't be surprised even if they pull the nuclear card and try to scare everybody. And what's happening right now? Look at the news cycle that's coming out. And again, like I've stated, cycles precede events. So I don't care what the events are, but I do like to go to your news feed and see what's going on in terms of news, because it's really painful to watch any other news media. So at least I go to yours and I see what the latest and the greatest is that Noah's posting. But the point being is that we are cycles have already predicted and foretold, more so foretold, that tensions are going to build into the end of April. Why? Because precious metals and cryptocurrencies have an upcycle into the end. And so obviously if they're rising, things are happening. So that's number one. Number two is a big date that we had talked about was the beginning of Passover, right? April 5th, specifically April 6th, but because Passover is the sunset of April 5th into the 6th. Noah, incredibly, look what happened to France. Boom, perfectly to the exact day as sunset hit. What happened in France with the rioting and BlackRock? To the exact mark. I'm trying to illustrate that God's in control. No different than what happened at Purim. We talked about how beautifully the Tucker J6 tapes come out on exactly Purim. And so now Passover is huge. Again, these are not my huge dates. These are God's appointed times and seasons. So we are in God's appointed season right here, right now. This is it. Today is the 10th of April. So Passover began on the 5th sunset, and boom, look what happened. Massive rioting began at the BlackRock firm in Paris, exactly to the mark. And now we're heading into the 13th, the last day of Passover. So don't, and we're still waiting for the black horse, meaning the angel of death. So I'm telling you, something is so close.
Yeah, and so a lot of people might not even know what you're talking about because there has been a total media blackout on this. I bet anyone, unless you're reading the news that we cover or really doing a deep dive yourself, you probably haven't heard about anything happening in France. You might think, oh, maybe I'll schedule a new vacation, go visit France. Well, let me tell you something. If you go to visit France right now, you're going to see what's on the screen here. France is no more. This is, I'm going to play this. I'm going to play it for you.
Click that play button. This is crazy.
Watch this. This is in France, right outside the BlackRock offices, and I'll explain in a minute more about who they are. But go ahead and watch. All right. Look at that. It looks like hell. It looks like fire. The open fire. Red is like about the only color you can see in this thing. It looks terrible. This is good old France. Incredible stuff, right, Bo?
It blows my mind that it actually happened precisely at sunset. It began into Passover. Like, wow. It's just incredible how amazing our God is and how everything is playing out by his design. And basically, you can see God move in the details. I hope that makes, clear sense. It's all about the details. And what have we been talking about in all our presentations? About the details. That's what I speak of, is the precision of the dates and the details. So all I can tell you this is crazy what's happening. Do expect this to, remember, we've got, if you go back to our slides, right, we've got the end of June as a summer solstice into the 25th, so 21st to the 25th, as a critical time point of like game over, okay, checkmate. And so page 3 takes us from the winter crux, right, to the summer solstice, which just happens to be to the precise day. Noah, there's no coincidences. Trump on the summer solstice, June 21 this year, will be 77 years and 7 days old. Like, come on,
wow.
Triple sevens. I'm just showing, like, and also like from the day he took office, it was 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days. This is crazy, but it's all happening right in front of us. You just have to put together the details.
Yes.
It's all about the details.
Some people might be saying, going back to that, the riots in France, and riots doesn't even really do it justice. I mean, that looks like a war zone, but connect the dots for people. That little video clip we watched, they said, oh, they're just rioting because of some sort of a change in their pension laws. This is much bigger than that, isn't it? This is tied into the entire financial system, the money system, taking down the money system. Can you explain why it's so much bigger than just a change to pension rules? What's going on there?
Oh yeah,
and who is BlackRock?
Actually, you know what? If you could go to my YouTube channel as we're speaking, I just posted a video today. I did an interview with Clay, and there's an announcer who actually explains it 1,000 times better than I could. I think it's really, really worth watching because it's directly related to what's called Aladdin. Moses approached Pharaoh when? At Passover. You had Esther come to the king when? At Passover. You just had Trump come to the courts at Passover. I'm trying to illustrate the importance of how God's in charge of this, and everything we literally are seeing happen in our face, right in front of us, is biblically timed.
There's one AI that has a monopoly on Wall Street, is now more powerful than politics, and is buying up every asset in the world at a faster rate than ever before. Meet Aladdin. Aladdin is actually a network composed of 5,000 supercomputers that now manages a whopping $21 trillion in assets, which is more than the GDP of every country on Earth except the US and China, and it does so with very little human intervention. What's even more alarming is Aladdin now tracks everything in our lives, from what we buy to what we eat, and even our bank transactions, and yet most of us don't even know it exists. Most importantly, I believe Aladdin may be the secret weapon the elite few are using to control more of our lives every day, leaving us with less money, property, and freedom. Remember to subscribe if you find this content important and want to help spread the word, and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy. Let's get right into it. The story about where Aladdin came from and how it got so powerful is one of the most fascinating on Wall Street. Aladdin is the brainchild of BlackRock founder Larry Fink, which is the largest shadow bank in the world and the most powerful company on earth. Larry got his start on Wall Street back in the 80s, where he was working at First Boston Bank, helping pioneer mortgage-backed securities. This is where they would package thousands and thousands of mortgages together and sell them to investors as a reliable source of passive income. And he was making a killing. And yes, these are the same mortgage-backed securities that 20 years later led to the 2008 global financial crisis. So Larry was making millions and millions a year, and he reportedly even made First Boston over $1 billion back then. That is until one fateful day where Larry misjudged the Fed cutting interest rates, causing the value of these mortgages to take a dive.
When you started having those types of successes, the firm gave you more capital. We were taking bigger and bigger risks without the attended risk technology to navigate that risk. And in the second quarter of 1986, we lost $100 million.
This loss was so humiliating to Larry, he vowed to never let it happen again. After quitting First Boston a couple years later, he went on to found BlackRock. And what he did brilliantly is, instead of treating technology as second to asset managers and traders like everyone else on Wall Street was doing at the time, he created it as the foundation to his company from which everything was built on top of. And that's when Aladdin was born. Aladdin, which stands for Asset Liability Debt and Derivatives Investment Network, was started as a risk management software with a small team of programmers. The way Aladdin works is it runs what are called Monte Carlo simulations. It takes past data points like the ups and downs in the stock market, freak weather or natural disasters, political scandals, and so on, and it compares them to the current climate. Aladdin then creates a probability model and shifts BlackRock's wealth from the troubled assets to profitable ones. Also keep in mind, having this type of computing power and Aladdin's autonomous nature, meaning it can act all on its own, almost guarantees it will stay ahead of the curve and make the right bets. Playing against Aladdin is like playing Monopoly against the bank. And we've recently seen BlackRock and Aladdin start to take over other markets. They're buying up real estate and farmland. They want to own, quite literally, everything.
Bottom line is, BlackRock is directly, tied in with the Federal Reserve. What they're doing is they're creating money with the Federal Reserve, and they're buying up everything.
Wow.
So what did she show? She actually showed the puppet masters that we've been talking about on page 6 of our presentation. So we've got the puppet masters. That's Revelation 17, verse 5. The Klaus Schwabs, Bill Gates, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderberg Group, the Freemasons. This is a secret organization. This is what John F. Kennedy was talking about when he said secret societies, okay? And so they're the deep state. And so Revelation, it's Mystery Babylon. Why? Because they work in the shadows, pulling the strings of world leaders. Get it?
Mm. Yes.
So,
wow.
And these are bloodlines that go back 6,000 years to the Garden of Eden, period. That's what you look at page 10, you see what's going on. Jesus Christ, when he was on the earth, right? When Jesus was on the earth, I made this slide. I think you posted it. And actually, this slide went viral, I think, that we did maybe a couple weeks ago.
It did.
It got like millions of views. But basically, this slide, which I put together here, really describes what Jesus's words were. He acted in Revelation 2, verse 9, and Revelation 3, verse 9. Jesus Christ, when he was on the earth, he called these people out as the fake Jews from the synagogue of Satan. He actually says here, I know the blasphemy of those opposing you. They say they are Jews, but they are not, because their synagogue belongs to Satan.
Wow.
This is a battle between good and evil. How many times have we said this? Period. Go to the next slide. This is Babylon, right? So Babylon now stands on page 11. The problem is you can't see because it's a mystery. It's hidden in the shadows, right? And so this is the greatest part about being alive right now. Next page. We get to watch God destroy Babylon, fulfilling 2,500 years prophecy. And this is the best part of it, the first line. While you were watching, Noah, we get to watch this. We get to watch the destruction of Babylon. And the second part is a stone was cut out by no human hand. Black rock, gold is a stone. Like, I'm just telling you, there are no coincidences, okay? So BlackRock is directly related to working for the evil side, and God's money, gold and silver, Haggai 2, verse 8, right? So this is now coming down to a clash of the Titans. Yes, Jesus Christ is the stone, but also the metaphor, it's basically, look at, the metaphor, it's related directly to gold and silver that's going to rise and destroy the Babylonian money system. And Babylon will fall because how do they build it? With the money. They've enslaved everybody with money, mortgages, student loans, debts, car payments, credit cards. Like just, oh, you can just go on and on and on. The whole world is captured. Go ahead.
Did you hear what's coming next, Bo? They just announced 40-year mortgages are coming next.
Sure. Well, why? Because if you take, see, first off, a mortgage is a mort means death, and in death grip. So they've been 30 years, now they're 40 years. Remember, car loans were for 5 years, now they're 7-year car payments. Why? Because they keep inflating the money. They keep creating out of thin air. So that forces more money, that creates more money, pushes more money into the economy. And therefore it inflates everything. So to keep the price the same, so if you want to keep your mortgage payment at, say, $3,000 a month, it's not possible anymore based on a higher purchase price of your home. So, but if you extend it 10 more years, now you can keep the price now. You can take a higher priced home divided by 40 years now, and now you've got, the similar payment. But otherwise, at 30 years, the payment might be $4,000 or $5,000 a month now. You see what I'm saying? And so those for the less expensive homes. But we're talking, money's being created out of thin air, so they have to keep expanding the length, because the only way mathematically to keep the payment the same is to extend the loan term.
Mm-hmm.
Just math. It's just math.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about gold and silver at the end of this interview, and also, of course, crypto, which I'm keeping an eye on it, Bo. I'm going to break into this interview with a breaking news alert if we go over 30,000 during this interview, because it's looking like it might happen.
Well, we'll get to that, but all I got to say is fasten your seatbelts for next week. So let's a little teaser on that one.
All right, there we go. More on that in just a minute. All right, well, back and gold and silver too. Gold and silver.
Exactly. I mean everything. I mean everything next week. So
every time I pull up Twitter, it's like they're breaking new records or doing something they haven't done in years, and so it's crazy. I really am excited to get your opinion on that. But all right, back to some of the breaking news stuff, and we got to talk dates too, Bo. I know you're getting to it, but just in case anyone's wondering, we already talked April 6th. You covered that, and there's some big ones. May 1st coming up, and May and June. So we're getting to your dates too, because there's some really big stuff around the corner.
Yep, absolutely. It's so awesome to watch God at work and to literally watch the BlackRock stuff go down in France on sunset on Passover into the 6th. Like, wow, that's just awesome. So again, page 17, I guess the next slide we can kind of click to. Page 7. So what we're waiting for, a stone carved up by no human hand is, the fall of Babylon. Another scriptural reference to that will be Revelation 13, verses 11 through 12. And this talks about a mortal wound. Mm-hmm. So Mystery Babylon, the deep state, is about to get a mortal wound. What does mortal means? A mortal wound is an injury that will ultimately lead to death. Mm-hmm. But this is the thing. Those that are thinking we're heading into some incredible, 1,000-year millennial reign, you need to read Revelation 13, verse 12. Because what did it say? And then I saw another beast rise out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercised the authority of the first beast, Mystery Babylon, the harlot, and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, Mystery Babylon, whose mortal wound was healed. So my point I'm trying to make here is that in the future, we're going to talk about timelines, right? Because we're heading into an incredible time window. But then later on, it resurfaces, the beast resurfaces, and that will ultimately mark and be predicated as the mark of the beast system.
So that you're saying the fall of the United States and then resurfacing.
Right. And then the United States will be an incredible place to live. This is cool. Evil will flee the United States forever. The United States will be one of the most incredible places to live in and during end times. No different than Israel. Because what happened when the Red Sea closed, Pharaoh was destroyed, and for what? Generations afterwards, all armies that came against Israel feared Israel's God.
Mm-hmm.
So the world is going to fear the God of the United States. God the Father, Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit during end times. So I'm telling you, great things are coming, but we're not stopping revelation, which means that the Antichrist system has an appointed time and it does have an appointed season, but it's not right now.
Well, I wonder if that has anything to do when you said that, remember that old Kim Clement prophecy where it talks about we will have a praying president. I wonder if that ties in pretty well.
Absolutely. That's all on our slide deck today. So we'll get through that. Next slide, page 18. So again, how many times have you read this on your show? Okay. All we're waiting for now is a day of vengeance. This is the year of Jubilee 2023. Okay. And based on the Daniel cycle calculation, 360 days from Corona. That takes us into the summer solstice in June 25. So when the day and the hour that God's going to strike is a secret. And I mean day and I mean hour. I don't mean year, okay? We know it's here. So page 19 talks specifically about we're waiting. Remember, when Babylon falls, that's the death or the fall of Babylon, the mortal wound. So something has to be birthed, does it not? Something new is coming. Well, what happened? Remember our show that we did on Rosh Hashanah when the British pound plummeted?
Mm-hmm.
The British pound plummet basically marked Rosh Hashanah. And then what's 9 months to birth from September 25, Rosh Hashanah, June 25.
Mm-hmm.
Same exact day. When you go to page 20, when you do the calculation on page 20, you're literally looking at June 25. And then basically God's going to be restructuring the earth. So the end of June is going to be like just mind blowing because evil has been defeated.
And you've said this so many times on my show and other shows, Bo, but when you say so evil defeated, but evil is so closely tied into the money system. The US dollar has been used for this. And when you first started coming on my show, probably 3 years ago, you were saying it back then. There is going to be a fall and a death of the United States dollar. And I remember back then, no one was talking about that. We were the strongest. We've had the world reserve currency for over 100 years. Unthinkable that would happen. You got some hate mail and hate comments, and people said, "Who is this guy you're talking to? Why are you talking to him? He doesn't know anything." And now it's all over the news. It's on CNBC. It's on Fox Business. It's everywhere that the U.S. dollar is finished, and we're reading that now in the news alerts. And Bo, you were by far the only person talking about it 3 years ago. That's one of the reasons I had to have you back on today, because I can't read another headline from CNBC without thinking about you telling us 3 years in advance.
It's cool. Yeah, I did say these things. I always want to give glory to God because he shows me how to count time. Okay. Like Matthew, right? Matthew loved to count. I love to count. Okay. I like to love making these presentations, these slides to make a historical precedent of what's been happening. So I'm recanting everything that's happened, putting it all together into pieces. So there's a reference to it because again, when you go back and study the times, like it blows your mind because these things happen one day at a time and and you forget, right? But when you put the pieces together, my goodness, right? Talk about a story coming together, right? Talk about an art piece unfolding. So, go to page 40. This is the slide we've had for like 2 years, page 40. We've talked about this for how long, right? This is the money system. It takes us off the gold standard, 71, 50 years to the precise day, not off by 24 hours. The precise day Kabul fell. 9 days later, precisely 9 days later, Saudis sign a military contract with Russia to the exact day. If you go to page 66, and that just happened to be on what? The 24th of August.
Mm-hmm.
And so think about these 24 numbers. It's crazy, but all this is happening. The links are all there. So you've got Russia signs an agreement with the Saudis on August 24th. And then on February 24th, the Russia-Ukraine war starts. Oil is now traded for rubles on March 24th. Roe v. Wade is overturned on June 24th. The British pound plummets on September 24th. It's just like you could just go on and all these critically important things have been happening. And what's next, right? 4/24, 2 weeks away. On 324, what do we have? We have the Evergrande collapsed 99% on 324. You've also had Yellen calling an emergency meeting on 324, and the Saudis on that. The Saudis, who have a contract with the United States, the world superpower, Saudis make a mockery video of Biden on the 24th of March.
Wow. Yes, I can't wait to see what happens this month.
Yeah, so I'm just saying it, how all of this is just, when you put the pieces together, you know what you end up getting is a piece of art.
Mm.
And that's what we're watching, a piece of art unfold. If we can scroll back all the way to page 25, so, God, everything's going to happen on God's time and in God's seasons because he's in charge. Rosh Hashanah or Passover or Hanukkah, these are important to God. Period. Okay. They're God's appointed times. So if God's going to do things, what I've come to clearly discover is he moves on his appointed times and his appointed seasons. So first seal, Corona, manifested in Hanukkah 2019, last day, and then boom, you got Corona as 2020 started. Why is my website called Gold 2020 Forecast? Because hindsight's 2020, and what I'm happening in the year 2020, what? It was the beginning of the end.
Mm.
The beginning of the end. And so first seal's open. When the first seal opens, the world will never be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Sure sounds kind of what happened in January, right? And then you go to the next, to go to May, Pentecost, peace was taken from the earth. Second seal.
Mm-hmm.
Feast. God's feast. And now we're in one of the most important feasts, Passover. The two huge feasts from my studies is Rosh Hashanah at the beginning and also Passover. Huge. But Rosh Hashanah always is like a beginning. And so we got Passover right now is like where massive events have happened at Passover. And I mean like crazy stuff. Go to page 33. And, these are things that have happened on Passover.
Mm.
They crucified Jesus on Passover. Okay. Gideon's army was assembled at Passover. 185,000 Assyrian soldiers were killed on Passover. Daniel was thrown in the lions then on Passover. Belshazzar drank from the golden vessels and he died that night. That was a writing on the wall. And then there's the biggest one, right? With relation to 400 years. If you go to page 31, right? Page 31 basically talks about the 400 years of Israel being in bondage to Pharaoh. Mayflower just coincidentally landed 400 years ago in the end of times, beginning of the end began, 2020. You can't make this stuff up. It's mathematical perfection. God is in the details.
That's awesome.
So now back to page 33, Pharaoh, the angel of death visited Pharaoh. When? Passover. So page 35, we know that Ken Christmas actually spoke and the angel of death is on the earth. But from today being the 10th, the angel of death has not struck yet, okay? So on page 35, Kent Christmas actually, there's a couple links if you want to watch it, but the angel of death is on the earth right now based on the Kent Christmas prophetic word. And there's also another prophet that actually stated that last week as well too, Diana Larkin, that the angel of death is on the earth.
Hmm.
So we haven't seen it yet. So Passover is the 5th through the 13th. I believe that the angel of death probably struck Pharaoh on the most likely, maybe the beginning, but obviously hasn't. So most likely would be the end of Passover, which would be maybe this Thursday, Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Did something happen? God knows, not me. All I know is that Passover is huge feast for God. And then you go back to page 33. There's also a second Passover 30 days later for those that were unclean, and that's on 555.
Mm.
So I'm just saying the strike that we're waiting for is a secret. How God's going to do it and the day he's going to do it, it's a secret. So that's the important. God's keeping this a secret, but he's given us a lot of information. Number one, the angel of death is huge. So I'm just saying as this week ends, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday, potentially Friday, I don't know what's about to happen, but God's going to strike. I mean, he strikes. I'm assuming God is going to strike. And if he does strike, the world's going to know. It'll be a worldwide event that something's about to happen. So now that takes us to the page, you're looking at page 53, the Red Sea miracle moment, right? So it takes from Passover From the angel of death, the next day Israel was released, but we haven't seen the angel of death yet. So that could take us all the way to the end of this week, potentially. We'll see. I don't know. I'm just doing math. And that takes us anywhere from May 1, all the way. Remember, we've always said in all the shows, the first week of May is expected to be mind-blowing. So that takes us from the 1st to the 8th, depending on if the angel of death is going to strike and how this all plays out. But again, cycles all point to the first week of May being completely mind-blowing. And I do expect the financial system we know to blow up. Okay. And that specifically means the great wealth transfer. Okay. When Babylon falls, God's money rises, gold and silver. And because we're a worldwide enterprise now, we're worldwide now, not just Egypt and Israel, cryptocurrencies are going to be a means of direct transaction financially at distance. At distance, because you're not going to want to ship people gold or silver when you can click a button.
Makes sense.
As we have, another again, Operation Sandman. This ties in directly. Those that don't know what this is,
what
very
is this?
interesting. You can Google this. This is not made up. Is it real or not? I don't know, but it's all over Twitter, and it's all over the internet right now. And it's 142 countries worldwide repudiate the US dollar currency on the same day and refuse to accept it as payment. Well, where have we heard that before? How about in all our presentations when I've read Revelation 18, verse 8? And her, Mystery Babylon, the harlot, plagues will come in a single day. The kings of the earth will weep and wail over her. Operation Sandman sure sounds like Revelation 18, doesn't it?
Wow. Yeah, it sure
then
does.
You got the Kenyan president. Have you heard that one, the Kenyan president?
No.
Click that link right there. That's right under the dollar. It says link. Click that link and play this. This is worth playing.
Okay.
For the people who work numbers, I am giving you free advice that those of you who are holding dollars, you surely might go into losses. You better do what you must do, because this market is going to be different in a couple of weeks. And secondly, we, through the central bank, we are having conversations to reinstate the interbank exchange market that has since not worked. And I am happy that the players in that sector, including our banks, are coming forward and they are participating, and they are working with the central bank so that we can again take charge of our market and that it is not allowed to be distorted.
So, okay. So
wait, what was he saying there, Andy?
So what he was basically saying is you need to get out of dollars and you need to do it quickly. And that if you don't, the whole market is changing and you need to go see a nurse if not.
So that was March 27th, and we are basically coming up on a couple weeks later. Okay.
So I'm just putting pieces together, and all I'm saying is when you look at cycles, they seem to precede events pretty nicely. The cycles have been saying all this is coming, but we were missing the events.
Wow.
And now the events are upon us.
Wow. I'll put the link to that video below this one. It's in both slide here. Slide 50, click the link button. We'll take you right to that. That was incredible. Okay. Yeah. Wow, Bo.
All of this it's about to manifest. We've got the Prophet 62, Prophecy 60. These are Kim Clement. Many prophets have been speaking of a wealth transfer. Robin Bullock, Julie Green, Amanda Grace. Like, I'm just putting all these pieces together, and it's all like right in front of us because of what that which has been will be again. If you study history, you'll probably have a decent look into the future. Period. And then you got page 6, this page 60 user, page 64, which is this is kind of just popped up my slides the other day. I went to my older deck of slides and I'm like, wait a second, wasn't it May last year that horse won the Kentucky Derby? I'm like, yeah, it was. It was actually on May 7th. The Kentucky Derby winner was Rich Strike. If you reverse it, it's Strike It Rich. Sounds like a wealth transfer to me, doesn't it? I just find it interesting that it happened in May. And what did I say? The first week of what? The first week of May, the cycles are pointing to complete financial chaos.
Wow. I love the tie-in with the horse racing. It's gotten to a point where it's almost, it's one of those things you say you can't make this stuff up, and it just keeps hitting. And I don't know if it's one of those things where God just has a sense of humor or what it is, but we just covered, let me see if I can go to this here. We covered this from a few months ago. There was a horse called Riding with Biden. It was expected to do really well. Came in dead last. You got to love that. I mean, what is it with these horse races? And then from last year, I think I have it in here. From last year, there was a horse called Heavenly Trump, and it was like the worst of the. I don't know horse racing very well, but it had the worst odds of almost anyone. Well, it comes in and wins the race. Let me see if I can play this here, just for a second. Let's see.
Flyboy have absolutely opened up on them inside the furlong pole. He might lead it by double digits.
Look at that. Look at the leader.
Second. Oh, Moro Flyboy ducked in, hit the rail, and unseated the rider, and Heavenly Trump is going to inherit the win here.
That never gets old. I haven't seen that for a while, but look at that horse. That horse is called Flyboy. Now, do you remember what happened in that one debate when Obama was in the debate and the fly came and sat right on his face? Do you remember that, Bo?
Yes, I do. Yep.
And what else do flies tend to circle around?
Yeah. Well, again, that's a part of that's why in some of the prophecies, he's not destroyed, right? He goes into hiding. He's saved for a later date.
How interesting.
All interesting. Then you have the prophecy of the 15-year-old Jewish boy who died for like 7 or 10 minutes or whatever it was. Didn't even know who Jesus was, and he came out. It's on my website, actually, if you want to listen to the prophecy. Wow. But it was like many years ago, and he had no clue. This little boy, had no clue who Jesus was, and then he literally comes out, and after he comes back to life, and he describes what's going to happen in the future, knowing all these incredible things, including who Jesus is and who Obama is.
Oh, I have not seen that before. I'll have to go look for that.
Yeah, it's on my website. It's right. It's talking about the actually it's titled "The One Who Brings War to Third World War to Israel."
Is that just right at Gold 2020 forecast, Bo?
Yeah, go to my website real quick.
Let's do it. This out. There we go.
Lower. There it is, right there. The man. He says history repeats right there. Yep, and click right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
והנה הבחור שיושב פה בצד ימיני, שמו נתן, הוא לא ירושלמי. אני אקדים בהקדמה ואומר, הוא עבר חוויה קשה מאוד. תכף יספר פה מה הוא ראה ואיזה מסרים יש.
זה הולך, לפי מה שאני הבנתי כרגע, המצב שלנו עכשיו זה בכלל לא טוב. כאילו לא טוב.
מה הולך להיות?
הולך להיות משהו שנקרא מלחמה מאוד גדולה, וכולם, כל העולם הזה יהיה מעורב במלחמה הזאת. כל העולם הזה פשוט יהיה מעורב במלחמה, כולם. כל הגויים, כל הערים, כולם ישתבו נגד עם ישראל ויתחרו במלחמה הזאת. זה יתחיל, מי שעשה את המלחמה, זה יהיה מישהו שנקרא גוג. מה שאני הבנתי למעלה, רק למעלה הבנתי.
קוראים לו גוג.
כן.
ואתה יודע, גוג הזה, למי אני מתרגם?
ואני יודע בוודאות מי זה.
מי זה?
אובמה. נשיא אובמה. אובמה. נשיא אובמה. אובמה.
הוא יתחיל בגוג ומגוג.
הוא יהיה זה שיתחיל את המלחמה הזאת, והוא יביא את כל הצבא שלו, והוא יתחיל את המלחמה.
הוא ילחם נגדנו.
הוא ילחם נגדנו.
Wow. Okay, Bo, I'm going to put the link to that below this video. That's incredible. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't put that on YouTube because I heard that'll be taken down.
Wow. Amazing.
So all of these pieces are coming together. That's all I can tell you. And since we're talking about presidents, and you referenced Trump earlier, let's go directly to page 74 and let's get right on that one, because this is this is what's about to go down here. We have the Kim Clement prophecy that basically stated he's going to have 2 terms. Everyone assumed 2 continuous, but obviously now understanding timelines, there's a 1260-day window between the cycles. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
So look how crazy this is. So I've had this slide calculation forever. I never realized until looking at it recently that the next 3.5 years he's out. So he wins the election, takes us all the way to oil going to zero, and then you got May 21, April, oil goes to zero. May 21, the Edenville Dam breaks in 2020. 10 days later, the second seal opens, George Floyd riots, and now we're on 1,260 days into November. All I'm saying is that the calculation, just like April 20th, oil going to zero. It was a historic marker. I'm telling you, November is going to be a historic marker for the world. What happens? I don't know. I'm telling you, it's going to be a historic marker for the world. Page 75 basically clearly delineates that we've got him returning this year. Okay. And the reason that he's going to return this year is because the cycle pattern that I've been referencing on, in which we've talked about in a prior show on page 56. Page 56, if you can look at that pattern, this again, it's a Daniel cycle. So when Corona became a thing,
okay, this is for sure why you got to get these slides, and you got to get them and zoom in, because look at this is loaded. Sorry, Bo,
yeah,
go ahead.
This took me about a week to do this. This is how like detail. I just kept getting pieces and I kept putting it together.
Wow.
So this is insanely detailed, and you need to study this for a few hours. But you know, now it's like Matthew, right? It's written and it's a marker. Right? It's in writing now. So so when you look at the pattern from when Corona becomes a thing, 1,260 days, all three seals should be opened. That'll take us to June 25, 2023, this June, right? Just after the summer solstice. 45-day window based on the pattern. And then that starts us on August 9th for 3.5 years of 3.5 years that are going to be mind-blowing. Awesome. Or horrible if you're on the wrong side of the fence, if you went against God. And so that will ultimately take us to, you know, so 1,200, you literally count the pattern, 1,260 days plus 45, it literally takes us to January 20th, 2027, the next inauguration date.
Oh.
Which means that there's no election in 2024. Because 45 gets a full term, you know, nearly 4 years.
There we go, right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so now say that again. So he comes back in and serves a partial and then gets another full term after that.
Okay, so he should come back and get his second 4 years, or at least 3.5.
Ah, okay.
Right. So starting this August, at some point, I don't know when he comes back. August, September, October, November. I don't know. It's a secret. But he returns this year, and it's a very simple reason why. Because what happened, Noah? Babylon fell. The financial system that everyone's so gripped and holding on to for dear life suddenly collapses. And you need someone to come back and rebuild a $1 trillion financial system.
The builder.
The builder. So he has to return this year to rebuild what God destroyed by the summer solstice into June 25, 21st through the 25th. He has to rebuild it. So I don't know when, July, August, September, October, or is it November? I don't know. But the financial system needs to be rebuilt because there are billions of people living on this earth that needs to transact.
Okay,
and
so
for that reason, gold and silver just go nuts. That's why cryptocurrencies go crazy. Why? Because the financial system that we grew up with changes forever. The way we transact changes forever. Everything we know changes forever. Ultimately, why? Because we're heading back to Eden. Page 91 gives like a big picture. Those who know my patterns of, you know, the 4-2-1, what God showed me, illustrated to me, understand his big picture of time. Okay. The big picture of time is there might have been a reference to the number 124, 4-2-1, but no one's ever explained what it means. Okay. Yes, God showed me it relates to the stock market cycle crashes, which indicates a crash is coming in December of this year. Okay. However, the big picture of time clearly indicates, if you simply study time, you'll know from creation, it was 4,000 years of the Jews. Then Jesus shows up. Then there's 2,000 years of the Gentiles. 2. And then we're heading into a 1,000-year millennial reign. And there is your number 7 again. So this is the big picture of time and how it all plays out. Period. Wow. So we're at 2023 right now. So there's not a whole lot of time left as we progress forward. If you look further, if you go back to the window of time that I showed you on page 57, this will help correlate it, but page 57 again. So we're heading into 7 years of immense changes, but basically page 57 is 7 years of blessings, and then 7 years of famine, which correlate with I have laid out on page 56.
Right.
Which correlates with what I just showed you, at the bottom of that presentation with regard to 6,000 years.
Okay, wow. So much here, Bo. So much to take in.
That's right. You got to watch the interview a few times.
Wow.
But I'm just trying to, I want the viewers to understand these are birth pains we're about to witness. We're about the fall of Babylon. So Babylon falls anew as birthed, right? Matthew 24. See to it that you are not deceived. The end is not yet. These are the beginning of birth pains. This isn't the Antichrist beast system. That's about to fall. Not the end, but the harlot, mystery Babylon's about to fall. Daniel prophecy is about to fall.
Wow.
The new is about to be birthed. And with a new birth, you get birth pains. I'm sure most women would agree. It ain't too comfortable just before you give birth. And it's not funny, but it's the truth. I've got kids. I know what happens, right? I've seen it happen, right? The point is just the last bit right before birth. It's extremely painful. And then once the birth occurs, it's worth every bit of the pain. Every bit of the pain is worth it. So we're this close as we head into the end of this month, April. Chaos financial. First week or so of May. Just absolute chaos. And then June, and pretty much the secrets of what they've hidden should be out.
Wow.
And then we got a massive shifting July and August, but that would correlate with the words of Kim Clement. This is where prophecy comes in handy, or extremely helpful, because Kim Clement stated what? Summer will be the mediator between spring, which we just talked about, and fall, so that the fall can do its work in America. The summer brings the two E's, earthquakes and eruptions. So we should expect land shifting and changes, sizable, volcanoes, everything going off this summer.
Wow. Okay.
And so all of it's now predicated into the third seal of Revelation. The greatest financial event in human history is about to manifest. It is to be a worldwide phenomenon. It has started with France and BlackRock. Period. It has started with France and BlackRock on Passover. It's just going to get crazier and crazier until the financial system, and the prophetic word is it rolls in from Europe, and then it manifests in the United States as the sun rises. So it's going to be within 24 to 48 hours. Insanity is expected into, the first week of May. So the time is so short, so maybe that leads us here into cryptocurrencies if you can ask some questions about that if you have questions.
Yeah, I do. And I imagine a lot of people might have their head spinning right now. So as we watch these events come into play, let's talk about gold and silver first. So we've been watching them. I'm not a chart guy, but as far as I've seen, and I've heard from you, and I've seen from others on Twitter, they are at the absolute breakout point, or they're tiptoeing over the breakout point. And then I'm hearing people say gold at $2,000. When that breaks, watch out, 3,000 comes really quick and maybe more. But I want to hear what you think, Bo. What do we see? So if you have just really basic, if you have the US dollar crashing and the US financial system crashing, and dollars are all of a sudden worth a lot less, then the price of gold and silver in dollars, it has to skyrocket, right? Where do you see it going?
Well, that's a part of it, right? But because God's involved, and you got to use the word biblical, that's what's coming, right? So damages, you just got to look at the Bible. Damages are sevenfold. So if you take right now, you take so $25 silver times 7. So that's $175 silver in short order.
From where is it right now?
25.
Wow. Okay.
And that's just a spot. With a spread, you're easily over 200. So that's just the beginning, and that's only the start. Now, blessings are 30, 60, 100-fold. Okay. So if you want to talk multiplication, right, you're talking, there are people out there that have quoted the number $600 silver, right? Well, that's an easy math calculation biblically. Okay. Not using anybody's information. It's literally, you pull Matthew 24 and then you do 30-fold blessings. So 20 times 30 is what? $600. Go to page 63. So here's some easy calculations I did last year. But, so there's your multiplication. These are biblical multiplications. So you're looking at, $600 silver, and that's just the first layer of blessings. Then there's 60, which would be what, 12 to 1500. Then you got 100, which would be, $2,000 to $2,500 silver. So I'm just telling you, these are crazy prices, but when God's involved, there is no crazy. It's impossible becomes possible because that is where God operates.
That's awesome. And I suppose this is a good time for me to mention this because it's on your screen here. Bo is not a financial advisor, and he's definitely not your financial advisor. I am not a financial advisor. Bo is an analyst of time. I think you get that by this point in the interview, but Bo analyzes the cycles of time and the cycles in the financial systems and in gold and silver. And I am a reporter. I interview people and I report what they're saying. So we're not your financial advisors, but we are talking about what we see and a lot of times what we are doing. And I love silver and I love gold. I don't have much gold. I've been, they call it stacking silver for a long time now. I like to add little bits and pieces whenever I can. And I'm also a big fan of cryptocurrency. We'll talk about that in a minute, but,
right. And let me just chime in too. Again,
yes,
nowhere, you're right. Nowhere in this presentation do we tell people to go buy gold and silver. Throughout this presentation, what do we say? Very clearly, these are biblical scriptures, and we're looking at God's timeline, taking biblical scriptures, laying over top of the timelines. And all I'm saying is that everybody needs to pray on their own personal choices. From the Garden of Eden, it's always been about free will, making your own personal choices. The future is written. I'm telling you what's coming, but you need to pray on this yourself and decide what you personally want to do with your finances and with your family's finances, and what side of the fence you want to sit on. If you think Noah and I are crazy, that's fine. but again, go back and look at our track record and what Noah, our interviews, and we were the first people out there. I think I was the first show that I ever talked about the Saudi Russia contract and how this is all going to play out within 2 years. We're at 2 years. We're at 2 years. It's about to go down, but if you don't believe us, that's fine. And more importantly, if none of this is important to you, that's fine too. And whatever you personally do is your personal choices. Okay. I personally, believe in what I'm saying, so I act on what I say, and that's it.
Yeah, very good, Bo. I like that. Well, listen, we got to wrap this up, but we can't do it without talking Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. We are knocking on the door of 30,000. I've been watching it this whole interview. It's just a few dollars away. So I know. So let me say this: you do have a newsletter that you. This is the only thing that you charge for. Everything else, your interviews, everything, your slides, you give it all away for free. You give your time away for free, which is amazing. And so we can't give everything away here on cryptocurrency because we have to be certainly want to be fair to the people that pay you for your service and for your newsletter. But I do think you had a few freebies you were willing to give away tonight and give people kind of an indication of what's coming. And just like everything else, if you think it's going to get wild out there in the world, it's going to be reflected in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And there's some other exciting ones other than Bitcoin too, by the way, spoiler alert. But what can you tell people for free on this interview, Bo, in terms of what to expect and how exciting are things going to get?
Well, again, like we stated in the early part of this presentation, okay, if God's going to do something, the probabilities from what I've seen historically, and these are his time points, probability indicates God will likely move on his feast. We're in it right now. I do expect, personally, we are going to witness the great wealth transfer, the greatest wealth transfer the world's ever seen. And it's going to be marked by the mortal wound, the bruise, which is the takedown of the US dollar. I believe that event is so close, it's ridiculous. So to give a little, of really information from my heart that I really think is extremely relevant is I think we need to watch so close as Passover ends this week, and Thursday into Friday. I think something's about to trigger.
Wow.
And then that event is going to be because God moved, it will not be good for them. That's written in Revelation. Ye, yours, they, them. Okay. That's not my children who are called by my name. So if God's going to move, he's going to move on them. And I would expect next week to be awesome.
Wow.
So when I say awesome, I mean awesome to the upside.
Okay. There you go.
That's only, that's what I can say about that. So just next week expect it to be awesome. And so just, it's going to explode. A high is going to come in, so if people want patterns of when there is a high that's coming, okay, there's a very powerful high that's coming. Then they're going to hammer it down, and then it's going to run again. So there's a lot of extreme volatility coming, but it's supposed to start. We'll see very soon, and I believe it's supposed to start here next week.
Okay, so a couple things there, and I always love to say this because I think it really demonstrates your character, Bo. So you know, we all have a job, or we have something that we do, right? And we give value to this world. What you do that you charge for is your newsletter. You have a Bitcoin and a gold newsletter, and that's the one thing you charge for. But you always tell people, if you just want to buy it and hold it, go do that. If you don't want to buy any of it, then don't buy anything. But for the people who want to get, you just talked about a new high coming, so an explosion up next week, going to be awesome. I love hearing that. And then you talked about a slam down, and then you talked about another new wave. The real key thing for the people who want to ride that wave is, well, you know, when are these dates coming, and what do those cycles look like? Are they separated by weeks or months or years, or what is it? So for the people that want it, and I always love how you don't put any pressure on this. So if you want it, great. If you don't, tune out of this part of the video. But if anybody who wants to get those dates, you can go to Bo's website. We were there earlier, gold2024cast.com. And you go right in there. And I always love this. You always give everybody a coupon code. If they're listening to this interview and they're fans of ours and fans of yours, you're going to give them 50% off. So you go in there, you sign up. There's going to be a box that says, do you have a code? And you just type in WLT49. It's right on the screen there. And it's going to give you 50% off of Bo's newsletter. And the cool thing is, this is what I love telling people every time. You can get in there and you can see all the past issues. Once you have access to the whole thing. And Bo never takes anything out of there because he's proud of what he's done. So you can go in there and, like he says, you know, check his track record, see what he's done historically. And all of those historic turn dates are in there. And it's really fun to kind of browse around and look. So that's in there if you want it. And on the screen here, you can see there's Bitcoin. And you've probably heard of Bitcoin, even if you don't know much about this stuff. But there's a lot of other ones on here too. And I'm not going to say, I will say this, because I've said this many times, but I'm a fan of XRP. So I shout out to the XRP army out there. I know Bo is not as big of a fan as I am just on the coin, but I think he does. Well, I know he does think it has a promising future. I can't give much more details than that, but it's in his report about where that could go. And right now, XRP trades at about 50 cents. So if you think Bitcoin's expensive, first of all, you can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a whole one like you do with stocks. You can buy 0.10, 0.01 of a Bitcoin. But if you'd rather not buy something that's priced at $30,000, you could buy something that's priced at 50 cents. Or some of these other ones up here. This one's Stellar. That's at about 10 cents right now. And I won't give away the numbers, but Bo has targets for all of those coins and even some other ones that aren't listed there. And they get really exciting. So I don't know if you want to say anything about that, Bo, but that's what really kind of gets me. If you feel like you missed the boat and the ship has sailed on Bitcoin, first of all, it has a lot of upside to go according to Bo's reports, but the other ones might be where you want to get really excited about it.
Correct. Again, we're heading into the great wealth transfer. So it doesn't even really matter what these coins are priced at because the numbers in the future are going to be multiples of what they are today. Period. And strategically, it's like silver is a strategically advantageous over gold because as great as gold's going to move up, silver is going to multiply the performance of gold. Okay. For the same reason, these smaller coins, as great as Bitcoin is, these smaller coins, but not all of them, the good ones, you know, the ones that, that I've done all the research on, at least I know those are good in my heart. Those are going to, like silver, multiply the performance of Bitcoin. And so nothing's too late because it hasn't begun yet, but we're this close.
Awesome. Well, you might want to jump on that quickly if you're interested, because this is about as urgent as I've heard you, Bo, in interviews before. I mean, we've always talked about exciting times coming, but I mean, you are really saying we are ready, and it could happen even this week. So really exciting there for the people who, and I love what Bo just said, you know, you are not too late. If you feel like not only are you late, but you don't know how to do any of this stuff, and it's kind of making your head swirl. This is the other thing I always like to talk about. Bo has this service that he put together. It's called the Easy Crypto School. So if you're like some people, like maybe my parents who hear me talk about Bitcoin all the time, and they're like, I don't know how to use this. I don't have time to train all of all of you and even friends and family. I can't sit down and train all of you on it. But Bo has put together a course that takes you from knowing absolutely nothing to purchasing and storing your coins, your Bitcoin, your other coins that are called altcoins. You can get all of those. And he's going to teach you how to do it safely, because there are a lot of mistakes you can make. And then sometimes the coins, if you make a mistake, they just go poof, and that's not good. And then sometimes they get stolen by people committing fraud or on untrustworthy websites. So if you want to avoid all of those problems and learn from some of the lessons that Bo has learned the hard way over the years, that's why he created this Easy Crypto School. So love what he's doing over there. And I hear so many great comments and feedback from people who have done this. And they said, never knew where to start. And now I feel like I'm finally catching on and catching up to this. So if you want that, you go to easycryptoschool.com, and he's done the same code over there. You can get in there, you put the code in, he's going to give you 50% off. You just type in WLT49 when it asks if you have a code, and you'll get the discount on that. So those are, I love to tell you about those, because that way Bo doesn't have to tell you, and I can kind of brag on him a little bit, because what he does with both of these is so cool. And that's why I love having him on the show. And then I love that he just gives you everything else for free. So Bo, I want to put you back on the big screen. I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. And we've been on here for a while, and we just flew through some stuff. There's so much more in the slides, and you're saying that we are so close. It could happen any moment. We've got April 24th coming up. We've got the end of Passover coming up. We've got May 1st. We've got May 1st through the 8th. I mean, it just feels like it's stacking, and everything is stacking upon each other. So what with all of that in mind, as we get ready to wrap this up, what do you want to leave people with tonight?
Well, as always, right? As I've illustrated in my slide deck, first off, there are thousands and thousands of hours that I've put into this over the past 3-4 years to get these details. There is nothing like it in the world in terms of getting this information out with regard to like detailed information with scriptures and timing and biblical events. The whole slide presentation, it's pretty detailed. There's like over 90, I think it's 97 pages in this PDF presentation. That's free, okay? The reason I do is because God has blessed me to, have the time to put this together. So I think it's critical to understand how our world is unfolding. And I really think people should take the time and study these charts and the information within this free PDF slide presentation. And ultimately, the bottom line is God is in charge of all this. He's in control of all this. I've illustrated to you and your viewers, Noah, how all of these things are happening precisely on biblical dates. Nothing is by coincidence. It's all by design. And we are literally waiting for Matthew 24, the birth Avinu, the birth pains. We're waiting for it to manifest. We're waiting for the fall of Babylon, Daniel 2, verse 34. We're waiting for the third seal of Revelation to manifest, the greatest financial event in human history. And we're waiting for the mortal wound, all of which describe in different ways within the Bible the same event that's about to manifest. And we get to watch it as written and as you watched a stone carved out by no human hand. So God is in charge of this. God bless you, Noah. Thank you for having me on. I hope I really have enlightened your viewers to give them a lot of good information. But, everything we've talked about, we are critical mass.
That is so good. You are always our most requested guest. And I personally just love chatting with you both. So thank you so much for coming on. We're going to buckle up and we're going to watch the next couple of wild weeks, and we will have you back on again soon. So take care, and we'll see you soon.